I'm Joanna Guy, Lead Associate in Booz Allen's Global Defense Sector, and today I'm joined by Todd Burnett, former Command Sergeant Major with over 30 years in the Army. We're lucky to have Todd here at Booz Allen as Executive Advisor of our Accelerated Readiness Solutions. Todd, you've had a distinguished career in the Army with over 58 months of deployment across Iraq and Afghanistan, and we're so lucky to have you here at Booz Allen. Could you tell us a little bit more about your career in the Army and your role here in Accelerated Readiness at Booz Allen?
So I joined the Army in 1984 and I went to basic and AIT with the MOS of Combat Engineer, which is 12 Bravo. I was in the National Guard for 19 months before I went active duty. And then I went active duty and was stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky was my first duty station. I'm from a small town called Oak Harbor, Ohio. And then from there, I found a place in the Army, and I just moved along and stayed in the Army, and eventually ended my Army career after 30 years as Command Sergeant Major of West Point. Then I joined Booz Allen, and I was client-facing in the beginning in the ForceCom headquarters. And what I did is QA/QC'd all of our sites that we had across all the ForceCom installations. Then I became a lead associate and started looking at being the job manager for everything east of the Mississippi. And then eventually I took over the whole program and kind of looked over both the east and west. And then eventually became a deputy program manager on GTMP and then ET2RC, and then evolved into being an executive advisor on training and readiness and now accelerated readiness. And it's really exciting because I think training is what makes everybody be prepared. So I think that we're a huge part of that, and exciting to be doing what I'm doing.
Thank you. You've had incredible experience on the mission and also working in industry. How do you think training has changed over the years, and what technology is being developed now that can transform the future of training and readiness?
Well, I would just say when I was in the Army, I used to shy away from technology and say I want to go to the field. But now that I've seen how technology has evolved and everything that's out there that can advance the way that we train and save time and money, which are the two biggest commodities the Army has. So if I can do it in a simulated environment and I can do it on the actual terrain that I'm going to go to. So unlike when I go to the National Training Center or to the Joint Readiness Training Center, I can do it in VBS and I can do it in the EUCOM AOR. I can do it in the Indo-Pacific AOR. So I can do the actual replicated terrain with the actual replicated threats that I'm going to see when I go over there.
And you're talking through a really important capability here in mission planning and mission rehearsal, being able to replicate exact terrain. Why is that so important, especially in the Indo-Pacific, where we see a number of emerging and pressing threats?
Well, you know, we have a lot of near-peer threats, and I would say that China's, in the Pacific is our #1 threat. It's the biggest geographical location and landmass that we'll have to try to cover. So I think it's important for them to understand that terrain that they're going to be fighting in. You know, for 20 plus years we fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it was a very open environment. I think that this will be more congested, and I think it'll be harder to get things to them just because it's primarily going to be landlocked, right? And it's going to be hard to get things in there quickly. So I think it's really important for them to understand that terrain, different than going to somewhere and fighting on whatever terrain, right? You want to have the best understanding of where you're going to do your mission and where you're going to execute them.
Todd, could you speak a little bit to how Booz Allen's solutions in training and accelerated readiness are unique and differentiated?
Well, Booz Allen is looking at things that will allow the service member to do multiple iterations, and they can hone in their skills. And what I think that does, if I can do, for instance, if I'm somebody who it used to take me 3 times to shoot my weapon and qualify, we've created some technology that I can fire on my organic weapon in virtual battle space or in a simulated environment, and I can do it multiple times. What that tells me is if they can finally get where they can qualify the first time, I'm going to be able to go out and qualify the first time on the same range that I've seen in virtual. I'm going to be firing on, and it's going to save them two biggest things, right? It's going to save time and money, and if I save bullets and I have more time, I can do another live fire. So it makes it so we can advance them and get into an accelerated readiness, right, at a higher enhanced readiness level.
Those real-time training analytics are so critical for soldiers and units to be able to improve performance. And I know another big area that you're working in is human performance and our collaboration with wearables technology. Could you speak a little bit to how human performance analytics combined with mission analytics help commanders make better decisions in training and on the field?
Yeah, human performance is really exciting to me because what I tell folks is it's device agnostic. It doesn't matter if it's Garmin, if it's Aura, it's Polar, if it's Whoop. It's the data. I believe that you can take that data that commander wants to see, and I believe that if I get the right data and right information, I can take my squad and I can have the right person be in each job that I need them, whether they're going to be the number 1 man in a stack, number 2 man, 3 man, 4 man. I can put the right person that has the data shows me that they're going to not spike or not do something that we don't need them to do. So I think that it's the data that the commander wants to see, and it can help drive the mission. I think that it'll tell you that with sleep deprivation that we get at a lower state of readiness. So maybe we do multiple patrols instead of doing one long one. So I'm excited about human performance and wearables and what that data can do. And the good thing about it is we can tailor that data to whatever each commander wants to see.
Do you believe that this technology could truly be life-saving?
I think that if you have the right technology and leaders know how to implement it, right? And the soldiers had the trust and confidence in the stuff that their leaders are saying. So I think industry's part is to be looking futuristic and developing these things, but also going out and putting them in the hands of the leaders to train their soldiers so that they have that confidence that their leaders are going to be there, because I'm not deploying no more, so they don't have to have trust and confidence in me. They need to know that their leaders know how to implement these things on the battlefield. The other thing is that with these training aids that we have now, they're form, fit, function, right? Because we're rapidly prototyping things that can change everything, right? So if I'm doing a drone buster, I can do a form, fit, function. I can rapid prototype it, and then I can go into fabricating it and casting and molding it. So they're going to have an actual drone buster, and the only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't radiate, because the actual, it takes somewhere between 90 and 120 days. But I can get this into their hand, and they can use it in the training, and they can know exactly how it's going to operate. So there's just things that we can do. The other thing when you talk about technology is, for each fight, most of the technology is going forward. So we're developing it and we're quickly putting it forward. What Booz Allen does is we look for innovative solutions in both virtual reality and the simulations, so we can take these different pieces of set kits, outfits, and we can put it into virtual reality. So a soldier can do that, and they can have multiple repetitions on it, so when they get over into the fight, there's less of a train up.
What advice would you offer to defense leaders who want to accelerate this type of innovative technology in their training?
What I often tell people when I go out and I visit with leaders is I say, we've got to change our mindset. We got to understand that it isn't all about having people in the field for long periods of time. There's technology. Now, don't get me wrong, you always have to do it live, but maybe I can do a quicker train up where I can do it at home station and they can go home every night, so I have a less time away from my family. Because quite frankly, with Afghanistan and Iraq going down, we've just picked up, right? and everything is still going on. We have rotational brigades that are going to Europe. We have rotational brigades going to Korea, not to mention everywhere else. So we're still doing multi-deployments, and it's much more stressful on the family. So as much as you can do, I think at home station to enhance them, so you got to have less time away from your family, is just going to be better for a soldier and their family.
Todd, you're touching on something there that I think is really important, which is what soldiers care about throughout their training experience. As a former command sergeant major and someone who's led and worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers, what do you think is most important to soldiers and to the unit through training that companies like Booz Allen are working to support through our innovative technology?
I think it's important, again, that we're providing training tools that are form-fit function, right? And that they're able to do them missions, right? Whether it's a combined arms rehearsal, whether it's a call for fire mission, they're able to do it in the simulation with the actual tools that they're going to use. So it's so important that we replicate it. And ideally, we're replicating the threats as well, because now we can take the threat from our global threat fusion cell, and we can immediately create that by rapid prototyping with a 3D printer and then going into scaling it where it can be shared across all of the globe, right? So they look at the source files, they're easily able to replicate, and they start producing it. So there's not a lag in time. We can constantly innovate and train at the speed of the readiness that they need.
Thank you. And what do you see as the role of industry partners? Booz Allen is at the center of integrating technology from across the defense industry. How do you see the role of partners as playing an important part in accelerating these training solutions?
Well, I think that we have to constantly be looking forward. We have to be the military scout, and we have to be looking for things that are open, smart, and to the edge, and they're interoperable. So we need to be developing sets, kits, and outfits that can be upgradable 5 times, right? So I need to be looking at things that I'm going to give a soldier that can be upgraded, so I don't have to have, to develop again, go through all the procurement of it again. So I should be able just to do that next upgrade. And I should be constantly thinking about that upgrade before I'm putting that piece of equipment out. Because again, the biggest commodities are time and money, and we all know that coming out of war, the defense budget has taken a hit in some places. So we got to figure out how to innovate and how to help them still be as accelerated and ready as they can be, right? But know that we're doing it with a less budget.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for your time. It's an honor to sit down and talk to you and to hear more about your distinguished career in the military. We're so lucky to have you at Booz Allen. For viewers out there, if you'd like to learn more about our accelerated readiness solutions, please visit our booth at AUSA this October and come by our Helix Center for Innovation in downtown DC to see our full accelerated readiness activation.